Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good Okay, okay. So I welcome you all in the class of operations management. Uh, Dr. Lame and I am engaging, as you know, we are jointly engaging the classes of operations management. Last class, we have started unit number 3, which is the important area of operations management, and we call it as capacity planning. Uh, Let me start with this important statement that capacity is not a new term. It is used in our day-to-day life, and it is a very common term. But today, we would like to understand this concept of capacity by placing it in the frame of operations, right? And you know what operations I mean to say? I mean to say the management of processes, activities which are going on either in a manufacturing organization or a service organization. So when we are talking about any organization, be it service or manufacturing, we are handling the issue of capacity. Very simple, example. Hello?
Sir,
Yes, yes. Hello? Yes, Dr. Lal.
sir, sorry to disturb you. मैंने बताया सर आपको I need to be somewhere, so
Yeah. Please go ahead.
I will join in between, sir. Thank you, sir.
Oh, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Okay. So, capacity, if I start talking about the simplest example of capacity, you know that if there is any event which is going on in the auditorium and you are the organizer of that event, now definitely your first question that you need to answer is the capacity of the auditorium. That is, how many participants can be can be adjusted in that room, or in other words, how many seats are available in a particular auditorium or a hall or a restaurant or a hotel, or how many beds are there in a hospital. Now these days capacity is in limelight because of this COVID pandemic. Our healthcare system is doing a lot of brainstorming on how to handle the capacity issue. So capacity of a hospital, capacity of a hotel, capacity of a restaurant, and airlines, for example, a capacity of an aircraft. All these are some of the important examples, and that makes us to understand that capacity planning or capacity design is a very important area of operations management. आप समझ सकते हैं इन एग्जाम्पल से how important the capacity is in operations management. Now, to go ahead, I would like to show you my PowerPoint presentation to make you understand it further. Is my slides visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So primarily when we talk about the capacity from operations point of view, अभी जो हमने आपको बताया वो तो एक layman's point of view से बताया, but when you try to understand capacity from operations point of view, there are certain terms, there are certain areas which needs to be covered, and that is how we planned this chapter. The first is the basic concept of capacity, what capacity is all about, what are the various types of capacity, and then the focus would be on bottleneck analysis and theory of constraints. I will discuss this point later on. Break-even and reducing risk, we will just pass it through because break-even analysis we have already covered in quantitative, and you are learning this in your paper of financial management also. So the focus is primarily on the first part, that is capacity. Before I move ahead and I will start opening the slides of capacity and start talking about the various chapters of capacity, I would like to repeat my statement which I always pass in every aspect which I cover in operations, that every area has its own language. Every area has its own terminology, has its own style, has its own terms, has its own acronym. And we have to understand that subject in its terminology itself. Now, the moment we start exploring the area of capacity in operations point of view, you have to understand this point, that it has its own language. It has its own language, right? That language is under the fundamentals of capacity. And now wherever you are working as a capacity manager, operations manager in your facility, either it's a factory or a service organization, you speak out that language. आप उसी language में बात करोगे. What is that language I am referring to right now? I will just open it up and just try to make you understand better. This is the important slide which I am showing you right now. Right? Is this slide visible? Are you able to you read this slide, capacity?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can read.
I request you to kindly focus on the picture which is pasted on this slide. And if you focus your attention on the picture, don't read the text, just see the picture. What do you say about this picture all about? What is going on right now? This is a large auditorium and some event is going on. A big event is going on and people has already occupied their chair, their places. The house is jam-packed, right? What is appearing from the picture? That everybody has its own place. That is the example. The picture gives you an idea about the capacity. Now replace this auditorium with a factory. Replace this auditorium with any service outlet and something like that, and you will understand what capacity we are talking about. But capacity has many definitions, and one of the most important definition of the capacity, which a technical person from the operation will understand, is nothing but it is the output of a particular facility or a unit. The output is what? Suppose a bakery manufactures a cake, a different type of cake. So the number of cakes which are coming from a bakery is the capacity, right? Suppose a factory is manufacturing a mobile phone manufacturer, right? Like Sony or Samsung or Motorola, something like that. Now, the number of units of mobile phone manufactured is the capacity. So primarily, capacity in a simple language talks about the output, which is measured in terms of number of units, which a particular facility can hold, receive, store or produce in a particular period of time. So if a capacity is capable of manufacturing 10,000 units in a week, if a capacity is capable of in-housing 10,000 people in one show, that is the capacity of that facility, right? So capacity is primarily measured in terms of the number of units it can hold, the number of units it can receive, store or produce in a particular period of time. Now, one very important thing that we all have to understand, that capacity is directly related to demand. ये बात आप समझ सकते हैं that one of the most important variable that is very helpful in planning the capacity is the demand. Now, if suppose I am arranging a special lecture, right? In arranging a special lecture, I want an auditorium or a class. But I can only plan my capacity once I am aware of the demand. If I know that the demand is very high, I will plan it accordingly. And if I know that the demand is not very high, it's moderate or it's low, then accordingly I will plan my capacity. So important point here is in terms of capacity is that demand has a direct role in capacity. And that is why you have seen in chapter number 1, we have a very detailed discussion on demand forecasting. जो डिमांड फोरकास्टिंग की इतनी टेक्निक्स आपको बताई गई थी, आपने कैलकुलेट किया, मैनुअली भी किया, एक्सेल से भी किया. The reason is that demand and the demand forecast has a direct reflection on capacity. And planning of the capacity is based on your accurate forecast of demand. Capacity can be classified into 3 broad categories on the basis of time horizon. Time is an important factor. Time is a very important factor. And based on time period, we can classify the capacity plan in 3 broad areas: long-term planning, intermediate planning, and short planning. So long-term, if you plan your capacity for 5 to 7 years, long-term. If you are making the arrangement of the capacity plan for a moderate period, that is intermediate period, like as 6 months to 2 years. And if you are planning for the coming 1 month or 2 month or 3 month, then that would be, we will call it as the short term, period. I would like to make this concept very clear with the help of my next slide that will help you to understand it better. See, this picture, this diagram is very important for all of us. This slide is very important for us. If you see the left hand side of it, where the capacity planning is primarily based on the time horizon. अगर आप देखें लेफ्ट हैंड साइड को तो आप देखेंगे it is based on the time period. We have long term planning, we have intermediate planning, and we have short run planning. That's a very important thing, right? And then accordingly we will plan the capacity. We will accordingly plan the capacity. Focus your attention on short term planning. अगर मुझे capacity short term requirement है, for example, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि अक्टूबर में सेशनल एग्जाम्स होंगे, सेशनल टेस्ट होंगे, और ड्यू टू दिस रीजन मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट स्टार्ट अटेंडिंग द क्लासेस या एग्जाम होंगे फॉर एग्जाम्पल. नाउ आई हैव ऑलरेडी एंटिसिपेटेड दैट देयर इज अ राइज इन द डिमांड ऑफ द लेक्चर ऑन ऑपरेशंस मैनेजमेंट. तो मुझे अब क्या करना होगा? दिस इज अ शॉर्ट टर्म प्लानिंग फॉर अ मंथ ऑफ अक्टूबर और फॉर द मंथ ऑफ नवंबर. सो आई विल प्लान माई कैपेसिटी अकॉर्डिंगली, लाइक आई विल इंक्रीज द नंबर ऑफ पीरियड्स और आई विल इंक्रीज द कैपेसिटी ऑफ माई रूम. जहां मैं 50 स्टूडेंट को बिठाता था, अब मैं 70 स्टूडेंट को बिठाने लगूंगा. जहां मैं 70 स्टूडेंट को बिठाता था, वहां मैं 100 स्टूडेंट्स का अरेंजमेंट करूंगा. जहां मैं एक पीरियड ले रहा था, अब मैं 2 पीरियड रोज लूंगा. So what I will do that in order to meet out the short term requirement of the capacity, I will plan it accordingly. We will discuss this in detail. Intermediate. Am I audible to you? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Now you're.
Okay. I'm sorry. In between, there is some problem in internet connectivity. That is why you might not be able to hear my voice. But now I'm audible, I hope. So once again, I'm repeating that this matrix which I'm showing you talks about the classification of capacity. Right, based on time horizon, we have short term, we have intermediate, and we have a long term planning. Long term planning, as I've already discussed it with you, this is the planning of the capacity for the coming 5 to 7 years. तो अब इमेजिन करिए कि मारुति ये प्लान कर रहा है, मारुति सुजुकी इंडिया लिमिटेड ये प्लान कर रहा है, मारुति इंडिया लिमिटेड प्लान कर रहा है, मारुति उद्योग लिमिटेड ये प्लान कर रहा है कि आगे 5 साल के अंदर उनकी प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी क्या होनी चाहिए. एंड फॉर दैट पर्पज they have started a new plant in Manesar or the area adjoining the Gurgaon. So Maruti Udyog Limited has already started their capacity. इसी तरह से कोई और कंपनी इंडिया में अपनी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्टार्ट कर रही है, जैसे स्कोडा मोटर्स है फॉर एग्जांपल. तो स्कोडा, रेनॉल्ट फॉर एग्जांपल, they have started their manufacturing operations in Chennai, and that capacity planning is not short term or intermediate, that is for long term. अब अगर कोई मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी अपनी फैक्ट्री स्टैब्लिश कर रही है तो वो छोटे पीरियड के लिए नहीं स्टैब्लिश करेगी. इतना बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट कोई छोटे पीरियड के लिए नहीं करेगा. जब इतना बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट कोई करेगा तो लंबे पीरियड के लिए करेगा, 5 to 7 years. दैट इज लॉन्ग टर्म प्लान. सो व्हाट आई मीन टू से दैट planning of the capacity, time play a very important role. Sometimes the time is short, we have short term planning. Sometimes the planning is long, and sometimes the planning is intermediate. Right? Accordingly, we develop. So, in the coming discussion, we will come across in detail these 3 types of things. But now it's a high time that first of all, I would like to tell you about the technical terms which are used in capacity. वो क्या terms है, वो क्या terminology है जो capacity planning में use होता है. आप कभी भी capacity का कोई literature पढ़ोगे या किसी इंटरव्यू में जाओगे, और if you are working in the area of capacity planning, you have to speak out in the language itself. What is that language? What is this? The first concept start with 2 types of capacity. अभी तक हम बात कर रहे थे खाली capacity. अब आप देखेंगे दैट द कैपेसिटी इज नॉट वन टाइप. Technically speaking, capacity are of two types: design and effective. Now, what is this design capacity? Design is that capacity which talks about the maximum output of the system. Right? Now, maximum out system means, for example, in our building, uh, you have not get a chance to sit in the classroom. Inshallah, very soon you will join the department. And when you sit in the lecture theater 1 and lecture theater 2, you see that on paper, as far as the design of that room is concerned, जब हम उस पेपर की डिजाइन, उस रूम की डिजाइन देखते हैं, तो हमें पता चलता है कि yes, Usman, you want to ask some question?
Yes, sir. Actually, you are inaudible.
हाँ, वो
You are
बीच
not.
में थोड़ा हाँ ब्रेक हो गया था नेट कनेक्टिविटी.
Yes, sir. I was just
Now I'm
confirming, sir.
audible?
Yes, sir. Now you are.
हाँ, मैं आपको जो एग्जांपल दे रहा था वो ये कह रहा था कि हमारे डिपार्टमेंट में लेक्चर थिएटर है. जब हम उसके डॉक्यूमेंट पढ़ते हैं तो उसके डॉक्यूमेंट में लिखा हुआ है कि दिस रूम कैन अकोमोडेट 80 स्टूडेंट एट अ टाइम. Now, as far as the sitting capacity is concerned, it accommodates 80 students. That 80 student, which is the maximum number of student that can be accommodated in that room, we call it as design capacity. लेकिन जब क्लास होती है या कोई इवेंट होता है तो ये पाया गया है कि 80 के 80 स्टूडेंट तो नहीं होते. जनरली स्पीकिंग, we have 70 स्टूडेंट और 65 स्टूडेंट और 60 स्टूडेंट्स. So the room is designed to accommodate 80 students, but usually what happens that the number of students that are present, that are accommodated in the room, is not more than 60 or 65. This is known as effective capacity. So the yes. So do you understand this word operating constraint? I'm saying effective capacity is the actual number of output that is coming out under the operating constraints. So what do you understand by operating constraints? What is this operating constraint? Anybody out of you?
So the constraint or the problems that occur during operating an event.
Very specific to the classroom. I'm saying that in my classroom in the department, as per the design, maximum 80 students can be allowed to sit. But actually, not more than 65 students can comfortably sit under operating constraints. तो उस रूम के कंटेक्स्ट में ऑपरेटिंग कंस्ट्रेंट्स क्या हैं? Every system has certain constraints. Operating constraints वहां पे वही है जो आप समझ रहे हैं. First of all is the comfort, right? 80 students can be allowed to sit, but as far as comfort is concerned, as far as ventilation is concerned, as far as air conditioning is concerned, as far as all other illumination lights are concerned, it is always advisable to accommodate not more than 65 students comfortably in the class. That is, we have the effective capacity. हमारे डिपार्टमेंट के ऑफिस में एक फोटोकॉपियर मशीन रखी हुई है. उस फोटोकॉपियर मशीन के ऊपर एक रिमार्क लिखा हुआ है कि the maximum number of copy that this photocopy machine can produce is not more than 30 pages per minute. Maximum is 30 pages per minute. इस मशीन से अगर आप फोटोकॉपी कर रहे हैं तो 1 मिनट में 30 पेज से ज्यादा ये फोटोकॉपी नहीं कर पाएगी। और जब हम करते हैं तो हमने देखा कि ड्यू टू सम कंस्ट्रेंट्स वी विल नॉट एबल टू डू इट मोर देन 20 पेजेस पर मिनट। तो अब आप ये बताइए कि 30 जो था नंबर ऑफ पेजेस, ये कौन सी कैपेसिटी थी, डिजाइन या इफेक्टिव कैपेसिटी?
Design.
Yeah, and number of 20 pages which we are actually doing it, is this which type of capacity is this?
Effective capacity.
हाँ, तो आप देखेंगे हर मशीन के ऊपर लिखा हुआ होता है कि इसकी मैक्सिमम इतनी है। अब जैसे प्रोजेक्टर होता है, प्रोजेक्टर के लेंस पे लिखा हुआ है, लेंस लाइफ होती है इन टर्म्स ऑफ आवर, तो लिखा हुआ है 5000 आवर्स इज द मैक्सिमम लाइफ ऑफ द लेंस। 5000 घंटे ये सिर्फ चल सकता है, ये मैक्सिमम है। लेकिन देखा यह गया है कि 4000 पे ही चलने के बाद उसमें कोई ना कोई प्रॉब्लम आता है, तो उससे ज्यादा फिर वो चलता नहीं। इट विल नॉट ऑपरेट more than 4000 hours. Reason is that design is the maximum, which is 5000, but effectively it can be operated up to 4000 hours. ये बात बहुत समझना जरूरी है कि हर फैसिलिटी की जब उसको डिजाइन किया जाता है तो वी हैव अ स्पेसिफिक capacity which is design capacity, which is the maximum output, but effectively it will operate below to that. So that is effective capacity. Any question, any doubt from your side? कोई question, कोई doubt? Shall I move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, once you are over with design and effective capacity, there are two very important calculation of capacity. What type of calculation these are? These calculations are nothing but they are the measures of capacity. ये जो मैं आपको आगे आने बता रहा हूं, these are the two important measures of capacity performance. So if I want to assess, if I want to measure the performance of my system on the basis of capacity, what I need to do is that I need to calculate two important things. What are these two important things? Please see this and you will try to understand it. Note down the two terms which we are going to use. Number one is utilization and number two is efficiency. These two are the two important measures of the system in terms of capacity. So if I want to measure the performance of the system, I would have to calculate the utilization or I have to calculate the efficiency. What is this utilization all about? Utilization So utilization, if you see the formula, both utilization and efficiency is the ratio. That is, we have a numerator and we have a denominator. It is calculated by the formula where we have numerator and we have denominator. Let's see the utilization first of all. What is given in the utilization? It is the ratio of actual output versus design capacity. What is this? It is the ratio of actual output versus design capacity. Now, what is actual output? I will explain this concept with the help of numerical example later. Actual output which is coming out from the factory or from the outlet, vis-a-vis in the denominator we have the design capacity. अगर आप इन दोनों का रेशियो लेंगे तो it will give you utilization. Whereas efficiency, if we talk about, it talks about the numerator as actual output and divided by the effective capacity. So in the numerator we have the actual output and the denominator we have the effective capacity. So you see there are two measures. We have utilization, which is the ratio of actual output versus design capacity, and we have the efficiency, which is actual output versus the effective capacity.
Excuse me, sir.
Uh, am I able to make you understand the concept of utilization and efficiency?
Sir, your voice was breaking in between.
Acha, okay. I'm repeating the concept. I'm saying utilization is the ratio of actual output versus design capacity. And efficiency is the ratio of actual output versus effective capacity. So you can see from the formula the difference between utilization and efficiency, where the utilization we have the denominator of design capacity, whereas in efficiency we have the denominator of effective capacity. So this is the important difference between utilization and efficiency, and we need to calculate these two things to measure the performance of the system. हम इन दोनों को क्यों कैलकुलेट करते हैं? We calculate it because we want to measure the performance of the system. आप देख रहे हैं दोनों के न्यूमरेटर डिनोमिनेटर में यूटिलाइजेशन एंड एफिशिएंसी में न्यूमरेटर इज कॉमन, एक्चुअल आउटपुट इज कॉमन, बट एज फार एज डिनोमिनेटर इज कंसर्न वी हैव द डिजाइन एंड वी हैव इफेक्टिव कैपेसिटी. नाउ विद दिस कंसेप्ट let us try to understand this concept with the help of a numerical example, a practical example which is available.
Sir,
Excuse me,
one
sir.
question.
Yes, please. जी पूछिए, उस्मान अकदस पूछिए.
Sir, in that example of photocopy machine, that 20 copies you were able to print, it was effective capacity.
Yeah.
But what is actual output in that case?
Actual output is 20. I mean, in that case, I'm giving you the example of the capacity. Actual output is the same, is the 20 number of copies which we are making out of that photocopy machine. That is the actual output.
And effective capacity was also 20.
No, effective capacity, yes, it's same. I'm telling you the difference. I gave the example of photocopier machine by making you understand the two important things: design capacity and effective capacity. Right? Now, what I mean to say by design capacity is that 30 maximum number of copies can be made from a photocopier machine. Right? इसको आप इसको कह सकते हैं कि this is the design capacity. But what we have observed from the record, that not more than 20 copies can be taken out in a 1 minute from a photocopy machine. That is effective capacity. अब actual output क्या हुआ? मैंने अपने office staff से कहा go and take the photocopy, and actually when they do it, they take out only 15 copies in a minute. So 15 copy which is actually being made by the office attendant is the actual. Design as per mentioned on the machine is 30, and effectively under the constraint you can do it 20 copies.
Okay, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, as you taught us, then in all those scenarios, effective capacity will be less than the design capacity,
Always.
and the numerator are equal, and the denominator. So efficiency will be always greater than the utilization.
It would always be, because if effective capacity is maximum, is that effective capacity can be equal to design, but it cannot exceed design capacity.
Okay, so then it will be greater than or equal to utilization.
Always.
Okay.
अब आपको सोचिए ना इस बात को. A room is designed to accommodate 80 students. Effectively, it can accommodate 70 students. So just try to understand this point. How can effective exceeds design? That is why if you see the definition of design, we use the word maximum. Okay?
Okay.
Shall I move ahead and discuss about the numerical example?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Good. I want that you should interact. I want you should clarify. ये आप डिस्कस करिए, आप पूछिए. ये कोई थ्योरेटिकल चीजें नहीं है, ये एक प्रैक्टिकल चीज है which is going on. ठीक है, आप बिल्कुल फ्रीली डिस्कस करिए. कोई भी छोटी चीज भी अगर आपको क्लियर नहीं है, फील फ्री टू आस्क सर, एंड इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट डिस्कशन व्हिच इज गोइंग ऑन. ठीक है, तो आप बिल्कुल हेसिटेट ना करें. कोई भी चीज, ये फर्स्ट टाइम आप इस चीज को रीड कर रहे हैं, दिस इज द फर्स्ट टाइम यू आर लर्निंग द concept of capacity, so we expect that you should ask questions. Nothing, need not to hesitate at all. Now let me take this example. a numerical example of the bakery, which is taking out, cream roll. This is an example of a bakery which is taking out cream roll. इस एग्जाम्पल के बाद कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि आप लोगों को भूख लगने लगे बहुत ज़्यादा, यू फील हंग्री, कि लगातार क्लासेस हो रही हैं, कोई ब्रेक नहीं हुआ, और सर एग्जाम्पल दे रहे हैं बेकरी की विच इज टेकिंग आउट क्रीम रोल्स आउट ऑफ इट. तो somehow I am giving the example of a bakery which manufacture cream roll. Now see, this is a bakery where the production is going on, production of cream roll is going on, and actual production last week is 1,48,000 cream rolls, right? Actual production is this. जैसे अभी मैंने फोटोकॉपियर एग्जाम्पल दी थी ना, so there I gave you the example 15 copies actually been made by the office attendant. So here actual production which was recorded in last week is 1,48,000. Effective capacity is 1,75,000. You can take it 1,75,000 out of it. However, the design of the machine which is manufacturing cream roll is 1,200 rolls per hour. 1,200 rolls per hour. Rolls per hour. This is the design capacity of the machine which is manufacturing the cream roll. Now let's see the operations of bakery. Bakery is open 7 days in a week, right? With 8 hours shift, and there are 3 shifts in a day. So कितने दिन काम करती है bakery? 7 days, 3 shifts, and each shift of 8 hours. कितने hours की है एक shift? 8 hours की. So we have 3 shifts, 8 hours of each shift, and bakery is operational, is functional 7 days in a week. मतलब it's a continuous process which is going on. Now the design capacity you have to first of all, it's in terms of the number of cream rolls that is coming out. क्योंकि आपने देखा design capacity. Now what is this design? Maximum unit that can be coming out 7 days multiplied by the 3 shifts, and each shift is 8 hours. And in 1 hour the machine is taking out 1,200 rolls. So if you multiply, it's coming out to be 201,600 rolls. This many roll, 2,01,600 rolls can be coming out from the machine. This is the design capacity. This is what? This is the design capacity.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sorry to interrupt, but sir, according to this, sir, you have said that the machine is working 8 hours and it's working into 3 shifts. So that means it's working for near about 24 hours a day.
Right.
So, sir, is it possible 24 hours a day and 7 days?
As far as possibility is concerned, this is the example. Yeah, it is possible. Suppose there is some event is going on in the city. Imagine the recently concluded Olympic Games. This time the Olympic game is under certain constraints, but actually when such type of huge event is going on and millions of people are there to attend the events and there was a supply. अच्छा, आप एक काम करिए, cream rolls को हटा दीजिए. Let us talk about the bottling of water, mineral water. And an event like Olympic is going on. You are in charge of taking out the bottled water. Now you can understand. The machine is going on continuously to bottle the mineral water or to manufacture the cream roll in order to cater the demand of the event like Olympics, where millions of people are attending the events. So although this type of process is going on for a short period of time, 24 days, 20 days, 1 month, जब तक कि Olympics चलेगा, there is a continuous supply of water bottles. So there is no question at all. It could happen. Am I able to make you understand?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
जब इतना बड़ा इवेंट हो रहा होता है ओलंपिक का, तो कंटिन्यूअस काम कर रहे हैं, 20 दिन तक लगातार काम करेगी बेकरी टू कम आउट द क्रीम रोल, बिकॉज दैट नीड्स टू बी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड. आप सोचिए अभी जो वैक्सीन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हुई है कोविड की इंडिया के अंदर, व्हाट डू यू थिंक they work continuously. So the same is true with any type of machine. ठीक है. अच्छा, इसीलिए आप बिल्कुल सही बात कह रहे हैं कि थोड़ा प्रैक्टिकली ये चीज थोड़ी लगता नहीं है कि ऐसा होता होगा. And that is the reason this is not the actual, this is the design capacity. This is the maximum capacity that a machine can do. And that is why we are saying this is not the effective capacity, this is the design capacity. Effectively, it is already given that the record says that in a week, it would not be more than last week, it is 1,48,000 rolls. तो इफेक्टिवली तो 1,48,000 रोल्स निकलते हैं, लेकिन कैपेसिटी हमारी इतनी है कि हम एक वीक में 2,01,600 ब्रेड रोल निकाल सकते हैं. इस बेकरी की अब एंड utilization, as what is the formula for utilization? Numerator, actual output. And what is the denominator? What is the denominator? Design.
84.
Design. So utilization, that is the design. So we have 1,48,000 and this is one, we have 73.4. And if I want to calculate the design, that is efficiency. So efficiency, utilization is this, actual output for this design, which is 73.4%. And when we talk about the efficiency, this is 1,48,000, actual output will remain the same. But in the denominator, here we have the effective capacity, which is 1,75,000. The effective capacity is 1,75,000, design capacity is 2,01,600, actual output is 1,48,000. So you see utilization is 73.4%, but efficiency is 84.6%. Yes, am I able to make you understand this point?
Sir, what is the significance of utilization? Like, sir, for efficiency, we know that, okay, this much how we could produce, but we are able to produce this much. So the efficiency is this. We can increase to, considering all the limitations, we can increase to 100% efficiency. But utilization, we know that we won't be able to make it 100%. So what is the significance of it?
I'm telling you, because utilization is actually the reflection of your usage of the resources. If 73.4% utilization, that means that you are using 73.4% of the available resources. That gives us an indication that there is a room of improvement. We can go to 80%, we can go to 85%. So it gives you a rough idea about the utilization of the resources which are available right now. Whereas efficiency gives you an idea what is the percentage which is currently going on in actual terms and condition, that is under operational constraints.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Vakas, am I able to answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's it for today. This is primarily the discussion where we talk about the actual, we talk about the design, we talked about the effective. I will pass on this PowerPoint slide to each one of you so that you can go through it. Tomorrow we will have another detailed discussion on the other aspects of capacity. So I'm concluding the class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.